but you just need clear target focus onto this Aphelios. If you kill this Aphelios once more, I feel like just J-Team just have no grounds to stand on.
All right. Kill the Aphelios, the name of the game. What we've seen from Little V, he does give you a lot of chances. I've got to be completely honest with that one. And we'll see if PSG can finish this one off to get their rematch with CFO, or if we were going to move into Silver Scrapes. This is game 4, starting right here. We have seen level 1s from all of these games coming in from PSG. They typically do go into the bot lane to drop wards, or they do late invade. So we'll see if this time they do anything cheeky. Taking a look at the start here, we do have the phase rush coming out from Kongre. So this one's a little bit more high mobility, and the Predator from the Vigar, as we normally see.
Yeah, the Vanguard, you can really just go a number of keystones and it'll be fine on Veigar. So that's why we see more so the Predator, because he can zoom into other lanes, which shores up one of his weaknesses, that he isn't exactly the most mobile mid laner in trying to attack the side lanes. And this quiet level 1, I would say, again, benefits PSG because it fits more of their playstyle. They like to just be as controlled as possible, and it's up to J-Team to try and shake things up. Although, late invade
not spotted by PSG, actually. Yeah, PSG didn't see this at all. Yeah, interesting.
Big. Although they do see Uniboy coming through that pixel brush, so they might have an inkling.
I think they definitely know about this one, just based on the pings that they're sending down the ramp, but it will be a semi-vertical jungle, and typically when you're playing just a weak side top laner, vertical jungle like this is A-okay. You almost don't care if your top lane really gets ganked, as long as his wave isn't too messed up. In the meantime, let's see if PSG are able to stop this Gromp take. Kongre taking it down, but Kaiwing is coming in for him. He, of course, doesn't have his combo, but it will stop Kongre from taking over the entire side, at least not at the pace which he wanted to. The Warsu still spotted him.
Still looking.
I was sticking on him. This is interesting. Oh, wait. Ignite goes down. They're going for the kill. What? Huh?
Huh.
I
think he forgot to skill an ability there, because he didn't cast anything. Or maybe he went for the Q flash?
Uniboy is going to be the target here. He has to burn his flash, decimating smash backwards. He should be fine into this one. And the turret's going to deal quite a bit of damage, but he will be okay. Driver in the meantime. Ooh, this is getting really dicey. Finally hits his level 3. Slow down onto a Nabi. I do want to mention, Driver, this is his best champion, and why he is called Driver in the first place.
Yes, he is on the Scion pick, and perhaps has an opportunity to look for a solo kill.
Nabi's thinking the same thing right here, too. He doesn't get the Infernal Chains to land, but he's got his Conquerors, and Driver has to back out.
And now Juhan back to full HP. Yes, he took a large chunk from that tower, but able to get it all back with the red buff. Now able to secure himself a blue buff. So it's vertical jungle set up by PSG and J-Team here. And that means you're going to get a lot of free space for your Aatrox to get the itemization he needs to start plowing through and eat through this Scion early on. Whereas on the flip side for J-Team, this has just been their MO. We try and play around with Lil V as much as possible, and hopefully he's able to carry. It's been pretty mishmash results, and I think it's not so much of Lil V's performance as much as PSG's draft and whether or not they allow the Aphelios to actually play the game.
Yeah, it's been really odd. J-Team traditionally has gotten a lot of their damage from Little V, and that's why they're so much still hinging on his lane. Though I do kind of feel like Kongre is, in the playoffs, for me at least, has been kind of the more core carry out of the two. Driver getting a lot of damage, chip damage in nothing Nabi, but he still has to be very careful. Nabi with one rotation could deal massive amounts of damage here. Driver trying to bait him to engage. Graves is not spotted, just waiting for that E to come out. But Hanabi holding on, he's got the wave push. He doesn't need to do anything too drastic here. And we do have Kongra now going back. I do want to point out the jungle situation is actually a little bit worse for Juhan. Kongra does have the full bottom side once again, so he has more camps to still go to, and he was already one camp up at that point. So vertical jungle does work out for the side of J Team, and we also have to remember that there's nothing bottom lane on Kaiwing. Kaiwing just suddenly got mad cow disease and burned both of his summoners for absolutely nothing. We'll see if that comes into effect, though, if they can find the event horizon. Nope, just going to pull off for now.
At least he does have, of course, the Hex Flash, which is pretty good in lane. Honestly, probably the better summoner in lane phase.
Oh, and so going to face check, and his 80 carry isn't there. That's so much free damage on the other side. They're going to go for the kill. Flash in by Unified, but the stun goes down. Unified could be dying here. One last auto attack. First blood to Little V, and Kongra tries to round out the backside, but he's going to get found by Hecarim here. Kongra pops over the wall with the flash. Still a solid win for PSG.
Oh man, just another Xayah play that goes horribly wrong for PSG Unified. Now that means he takes a death, and I think Lil V is very happy to see this result. Again, we're dumping all of our abilities onto a Leona that can press W and get infinite damage reduction. So I think PSG, they don't usually play against Leona because they're the ones that have the Leona, but unfortunately they misplay in the same manner a lot of their opponents play against their Leona.
Yeah, that was definitely a flash tiff on the support right there. Kaiwing isn't able to chase down the kill, and Unify flashes so far forward for that one. There was a minion wave. Little V was perfectly comfortable unloading all his damage. He did have the Infernum right there. And, flashing from Little V. Here comes the engage, and Unified is down. What is happening to PSG's bottom lane? This is probably the most ridiculous bot lane performance we've seen in their postseason.
Yeah, Unified. I think it's time to shelf this Xayah pick, or perhaps maybe pivot towards the crypt build, which I know he is pretty familiar with. Of course, a very legacy player in his own right, so he can certainly play these more scaling AD carries if he is given the opportunity or given the chance to. But as things stand, not looking pretty on this, I believe, third Xayah game.
Yeah, this postseason has definitely been weird for our PSG bot lane duo. A lot of weird communications and just all-ins when it didn't seem really particularly necessary. And with this change in the matchup, with I feel like Little V feeling quite comfortable here, how do you see that shifting the entire map away?
Yeah, I mean, this is a support matchup that's really predicated on whoever engages first typically loses, right? When you have an Alistar, where you have a Leona, because you can just turn onto the other AD carry, but Hanabi still, you know, I mean, this is what the draft is built for, right? We're trying to set up for a 1-4 for our Aatrox, and so far, you know, not a huge CS lead, but he is going to be scaling up with the Conquer and also the Cull pickup. So eventually when he does come online, that's going to be their big pressure point. But J-Team, until then, they kind of just get to do whatever they want on this bottom half of the map. And Unified Kaiwing, they looked for an opportunity, they fumbled it, and now it's it's going to look really ugly for like the next 2 minutes.
Yep, we do have J-Team just about to take down double plates onto the top side here. In the meanwhile, PSG, though, do get their say into the top lane. Some dirty farming by Hanabi. Cloud Soul for the Herald trade, which I think both teams are fairly happy with this one. They did some zoning in the bottom lane in the meantime, so you're very standard trading away Hanabi. Unified for Hanabi. That has been going down into this series. And I consider Herald most likely going into the top lane, I would guess.
I mean, it has to be top lane to play around this Aatrox pick. You just need that extra gold infusion, and Again, the return on Unified at the moment just hasn't been great on the Xayah pick. So even if you do get gold into it, you do worry if you're going to get max value return. And up in this top side, it is still really hard to push against a Scion, even though he is a tank. You can do a lot of damage to him. He can kind of ignore you for the most part, just clear out the waves, and if you're able to do that, it slows down how much you can get out of this top lane.
I'm taking a look at the mid lane build right here, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a full engage. Yeah, Shirelia Vigar. If he wasn't fast enough with Predator, he'll chase you down with the extra movement speed on the other item as well. So
yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
what do you make of this?
Interesting. I think it's just trying to augment his Hecarim as much as possible. Just get him as much movement speed, but it does mean he's going to be a much less of a damage threat because he won't have the extra AP that might come out from something like an Everfrost. But he will spike a lot earlier. That is something to keep note of when you go for a support item in the mid lane, is that you are going to come online much faster. Oh baby, play-by-play Knights.
Never mind, I'm back. Sorry. Play-by-play Night Star. Go back into the closet. Woo! It's still my job here. I got you covered. And no worries, man. I just got the freeze to stop here. We do have the Hullbreaker coming in for Hanabi. Pretty much expected here. And now we get to see Bay with this Predator. Can he make something happen? So far, J-Team still with a commanding lead in the bot lane. Drake still a ways off, 2 minutes off until then. But you can tell that entirety of J-Team has just been trying to shift focus into that bot lane, trying to cut off Kai Wing and Unified from farm.
Yeah, that's the play. And I mean, Juhan, time is ticking on this Rift Herald. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to throw it down. And because of, the how far behind your bot lane is, you can't go there. Mid lane is building support item. Not completed. You can't go there. And top lane, like, Hanabi, he can't get to the tower. That's the issue. Driver just cuts off the wave consistently. Has armor to tank the minions and has plenty of wave clear.
Does Driver know this? So. It's actually just straight up timing out.
Yeah, I think Juhan.
Oh, he has to go top. He has to go top. Okay.
He's gonna throw it top, but he's not gonna get any value for his top laner. That's the issue, right?
Yeah.
He tosses it down, and he's going to be the only one that gets value. But he is going for the carry build, which I do appreciate. Unify is coming under fire though.
Moonlight Vigil misses. Sorry. So the Gravitum not there to follow down, and as you said, the first tower doesn't go down. Pretty weak drop. If you ask me about that, I don't think Hanabi actually got the gold from that either. So we'll find out later on, but it doesn't seem like the best use. And we do have the Shirela's Revelry coming in. Once again, Unified just getting completely zoned out despite him being on the Xayah. And Aphelios going to take the first brick of the matchup here. PSG are forced to shift their bot lane mid.
Yeah, this is a great look for J-Team, being able to get this Aphelios ahead. I mean, part of it came down to the really 2v2 blunder that came out from PSG, but J-Team take that mistake and run with it, right? Even if you do make, even though you do have the worst matchup, if you're able to take advantage of any opening that the side of PSG give you, then you just gotta take it and run. And so far, they've done so. Hanabi trying to get this last plate before plates expire. We'll be able to do so. So going back, I said I did like the build coming out from Juhan, going for a Divine Sunder. He's going to be really tanky. Again, with a Ahri pickup, you're not worried as much when it comes to late game damage on to shredding through your front line. So more carry oriented, has to conquer as well. This is a scaling build that Juhan can win team fights later on in the game with.
Yeah, especially when you have more of a utility Vigar. It's just kind of like stalling out the early game, waiting for this Vigar to go up, waiting for this Aatrox to be of use here. So I agree. I think the build makes a lot of sense here. PSG going to converge onto this Herald that's just about to pop, and they have full control topside. The amount of wards that they have here, because of Hanabi winning his lane, is pretty difficult to surmount. J-Team looks like they want to challenge, though. They have brought everyone here. Hanabi doesn't have his TP, so it's a good chance for J-Team to actually regain some control into this topside river.
And at the very least, because of what Hanabi has been able to do with this Aatrox, it's limited the Scion's roam potential, trying to get in position to use his ultimate because he's constantly pushed into tower. So far, impact not being felt by Driver when it comes to the global map, but set up for Herald. Pretty good zone pressure coming in from the Scion.
You have to imagine that the engage is coming in. We do have Hanabi on the flank and the Eclipse on the front here, but the Everfrost catches too. The front line is decimated from PSG. They just walk straight into it, and Unified has to pop his Featherstorm defensively. Will the next charm come through? It gets the cleanse. A big win for J-Team. Let's see, Hanabi trying to play zone away, but Kongria is still going to collect it, and now he's chasing the God of War himself away from the scene. PSG have the flank. They wanted to engage, but I feel like too much of a faceplant? Question mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Way too much faceplant there. They needed the flank to develop a little bit more coming in from Hanabi to pull people away from that main angle of engage. And remember, both of these compositions this time around, it's all about Lil V. If they are able to kill Lil V, that might help their odds, but they're gathered up, they're clumped up. Lil V has the perfect team fight weapons, chakrams, and that extra range to then be able to just say no. He stiff arms them away, and he just takes full ownership of that fight and wipes them out.
I gotta say, I almost forgot about Driver. I really did. I think I underestimated him. He did so much work in that last team fight right there. He got a 3-man decimating full charge smash into...
Yeah, the chain CC.
Yeah, that was just beautiful to watch into the Everfrost. And Kaiwing and Juhan, I'm not even sure Kaiwing got his ultimate off. It was like, poof, instantly dead. So, beautiful stuff to watch from J-Team. And this is kind of the Driver we were used to in 2021. Not the fighter Driver in 2022, but much more experience with how to play frontline and getting crowd control down. I'm glad that he gets to play with this much value into the series.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you move into playoffs, like when the pressure's on, just play these scaling tanks, right? That's just how playoff meta tends to play out here, as Hanabi goes for a 1v1, but it's not a 1v1.
Yeah, there is some help coming in from Kongria, but Hanabi is very tanky, very hard to kill down. There's also... Sorry, I can't help myself.
Speedy Waddle.
Oh, yeah, the Waddle is just so funny. It's too good. He didn't even pop his Shurelleries, and he was that fast. So, Shurelias, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it was, just all about that Predator zooming on in. And I mean, that's the value of the Predator, right? So that is a good cover play coming in from Bay to make sure his top laner is okay. And at the very least, you know, the CS differential isn't all that much from the side of PSG. They're down in CS and, you know, a lot of these lanes, but the only big gap is Juhan. And part of that is, well, Hecarim doesn't farm the jungle as fast as something like a Graves once he gets rolling. And now, you know, when you're just trying to make up for lost space, you do have to give up some of your camps in order to try and put out the fires on these sides.
Yeah, he is falling behind compared to Kongria by quite a bit. And we do have an Infernal Dragon that is going to potentially go into an Infernal Soul. Very good for the composition of J-Team. They are running double 80 carries, so happy to see this one. And they do have momentarily vision control over this side of the river. We are going to see Uniboy pop his teleport pretty early on to make sure that stays in their favor. And Predator also popped by Bait just to keep himself close to the action here. Once again, Driver hiding in this Ink Brush is going to be so devastating if he can find those decimating smashes.
They're almost done.
Once again, Kaiwing going to go in, take half his HP. In
Teleport
goes
coming in.
the Juhan, and they are starting
They're
onto
on
Little
V.
V, but Little V survives and gets the kill. He flashes out away from Hanabi's Q3, and they get 2 kills plus the objective. Now turning around to chase PSG away. Little V was the target, but he survives.
And, well, I mean, it plays pretty much exactly the plan from both sides. PSG, they need to dive onto Lil V, and J-Team, this time around, they built a composition that can look to peel back and protect this 80 carry, and that's exactly what happens here. Once you have that choke point controlled with that Scion, it's so hard to navigate. They come in on the flank, and yes, they're able to put some damage onto Lil V, but there's only 2 members onto the backline, which isn't enough damage against red whites.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Lil V, he's able to just tank him up, and now he has the Bloodthirster. That means it's even harder to dive onto the backline. Last time, there were 4 dive champions. This time, there's really only 2 dive champions, unless if Kaiwing's able to get a really nuts flank.
And look where the kills are going. I know this might not be the best for a J-Team in terms of their carries, but 2 kills, Driver, basically is pretty much unkillable against Hanabi. I don't think Hanabi can actually just straight up push him, especially not into River anymore. So the win cons from PSG are not working out. Look at this, Driver's even walking forward. He's like, okay, you do a bit of damage. I'll respect you, but not before I get a couple punches in.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised Hanabi doesn't go for the Stride Breaker to add a little bit more sticking potential onto a target like the Gale Force of Philios. But here, he's just opting for the extra sustain for the 1v1 in this instance. And yeah, now, like, how do you kill this Scion? Because you've gone for a utility build on your mid laner. This Veigar, yes, eventually he'll be able to eat through this Scion. But as it stands now, he's got no damage. He can't. He's going for the Void Staff to help remedy some of the power here that he's lost. Because you look on the other side, it's already a Banshee's Veil completed by Uniboy.
He's not afraid of this one at all. Look at how much damage Driver is just soaking up. He actually won this trade. He took every single skill shot and it's like, yeah, I'll be fine. So it seems like PSG are still a long ways off into actually coming out with a full run. And I have to say, for the side of a champion like Aatrox, he doesn't function the same way that a champion like Fiora does. He's much more skill based, much more ability based, which means that he actually needs to win out early to make sure that 4-1 works.
Yeah, and it's also very hard for him to find value in team fights as well, right? Because he needs his flash to get access onto the backline. He doesn't have a big gap close. He's pretty binary in how he approaches a fight, which then allows Lil V to prepare himself, set himself up, and just unload onto a target like an Aatrox. So by the time Aatrox actually gets onto the target without double dash and a flash, he might just be playing with maybe 50% HP, and then you have to literally hit every single ability with your ultimate on to get back to a reasonable health standpoint.
All right, we are heading into the Infernal Soul. J-Team already at 3 stacks. PSG have to fight this one. But so far, these chokes have been killing them. It's opened up just a little bit, so maybe there's more flanking potential. We're going to have to find out how they take this one. Hanabi will have that flash, I believe, up just as the fight is about to begin. So that shouldn't be a problem for them. But I feel like PSG can't choose to run in. I feel like running in for them, the way it's gone the last 2 times, has been pretty bad. Maybe the pick is the answer. Bay is going to drop down the event horizon. Ari has to teleport in, but he's so far away from the action.
They found
Little V is caught inside the pit. That's the main damage dealer right there. He gets a massive Infernum right down 200 years. There you are. It's been a while, but welcome back. And PSG are absolutely decimated. J-Team chased down the rest of them. Decimating sets, double kill for Driver. And even with that start, J-Team wipe him.
Oh my god. They
What
just...
a barbecue!
Holy moly, they got scorched. Korea, he's feeling himself too. He is just popping off in that camera. He understands, like, this time Lil V with this build makes a lot more sense here because all he has to do is just unload however much damage he can get, and boom, Infernum goes out and they just get blasted. And it's so easy to clean up because for the side of PSG, they in general have no damage. It's not just all the damage is onto one champion like the side of J Team in Lil V, but because you've gone for Shrelia's Veigar, you've gone for the Aatrox, and you have a lethality side that's very far behind, your damage is pretty middling.
Yeah, I think middling is being a bit generous, if I'm to be completely honest right there. They took a full 5-man Infernum to the face plus the collateral damage. And I was just like, oh, instant GG, boys. Let's wrap it up. So we'll see how PSG can deal after this one. A massive lead here, and Uniboy's flying in for the kill. Hanabi might be the most fed member, and he is 1v2ing quite well. Pops the World Ender, turns around for some more dive, but Driver is also on his back. That's 1v3. Hanabi, can he get something back? It would be absolutely insane. So far, he's trying so well. He's got the mid jump down low, but he still will fall.
He may be tanky in the 1v1, but there's just way too many members. And now Driver, he wants mid lane.
Oh, he can go right back past the... he doesn't find it. That'd be pretty epic.
Well, they did get +1 AP on that, at least. But is 1 AP going to make the difference? Probably not, because again, it's a lot more about the utility with the Veigar with this build, and there's just way too much damage having to deal with this Infernum Soul. So now for PSG, how do you get back into this game? You just buy as much time as you can and hope for a flip around Elder Soul.
Yeah, the kill so far has been 12-1. They've only managed to take down Little V just once, and that was a team effort.
Raid boss down. It's a win. We did it.
Yeah, I really feel to see how PSG win in an extended fight. I feel like they need to do a pick, back off, do a pick, pack off. That's probably the best way to solve this one out.
Yeah, they need 2 or 3 picks to then be able to take up the straight fight, which does not bode well. So now J-Team, they understand that, and it's like, hey, if we just start an objective, PSG can't go into us because they need several picks before they can take the straight-on fight, and now Shrellia is running straight in.
Everfrost onto Juan. They nearly kill him right there. That's only the 2-man. Uniboy flying in, and the jungler has to back out. There was a 2v5, and they still held the fort. Now Driver comes charging in, but everyone has already retreated. J-Team, get what they came here for with the Baron.
All right, Hanabi. How much 1v9 can you pull off here? Because that is their sole condition to stall out the game. Not even win the game, to stall out the game here. But for the side of the J Team, it's only 28 minutes in the game. PSG, they don't have real items online yet. You can just brute force a lot of these things. They brute force the Baron, they brute force tier 2 top lane, and now we'll see what else they can brute force here, because a lot of these turrets pretty much gone. And it's only these inhib towers and that tier 2 in that bottom lane. So it's just maximizing how much gold they can get and then just finishing the game off of the Elder Dragon fight.
Yeah, at this point, J-Team has such an easy path to victory. Like you said, you know, the front to back is in their favor, the damage scaling and everything, and PSG just can't match at this point. So very, you know, just not trying to overcomplicate things. They're going to march down this bottom lane. As for Uniboy on the side here, he's dealing a lot of damage himself. Little B does have the gravity to threaten, so the defenders here have to be very, very careful. And Driver just goes straight in for the kill. He's going to get the Feather Storm. We see the Moonlight Vigil deal tons of damage, and Unified has seen enough. He's going straight back to the fountain. J-Team now advancing on the tier 2. Coming, looking for a flanking position right here. Oh, yeah, that's true. They can only hold out with the W, but that's AoE damage, and it's not going to punch through all the minions at the same time. They finally do get it to drop Event Horizon on Driver. Driver barely feels that one. And Uniboy continues on to the mid inhibitor. We're looking at Juhan and Kaiwing. Those are your two big engage options. TP going to come in. Make sure the bot lane goes down. And now Uniboy goes in. Can he land the charm? Everfrost down already. He does. Find Hanabi right off the bat. That's the main damage. Jiller gone. And into the backline. Driver goes. He smashes directly into two. Unified not even able to flash away. And PSG are wiped from the map. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to a Game 5 in Silver Scrapes.
Oh my lord, J-Team, they dominate game number 4. It's not even close. PSG keel over, and J-Team just absolutely decimate them. 16 kills to 1. This was a draft gap from the start to finish, and it feels like these past couple of games have just been draft gaps. And the issue is, I think it's more so about J-Team draft gapping themselves rather than PSG finding the adaptation